Okay. Sorted. Okay, so I'll be beginning. Is my voice? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, sorted. I'll be beginning then. I'll wait for another participants. They can join in between the session, and yeah, let's begin. So, good evening, everybody. I am Shivangi Chaturvedi, Digital Media Executive of EDvantage India. I am more than happy to welcome Rashi Diwan, Saloni Sapru, Sukriti Kathuria, and Aishwarya Ranalkar as our guests for the podcast session today. I hope I pronounced all the names right, and if I haven't, I'm extremely sorry. So, before I begin with the podcast, before I start with the questions or the way it goes, I'd first like to mention a very important thing. I'm delightful and honored to have a podcast session dedicated to just women in the oil and gas industry on this platform, the industry where women constitute just one fifth of the total share of employees. And by this statement, I immensely feel for it because I also come from that sector. And yeah, with that, I would like to begin. So before beginning, I'd first like the audience to know about our guest today and why did we choose this podcast topic? Why did we choose to interact with women? And why did we choose to pick up on oil and gas industry? So I hope these questions get answered towards the end of the session and you get to learn quite a lot from it. So my first guest is Rashi Diwan, graduated from UPES in 2012, worked in Accenture in ONGC, and is currently a production engineer at Schlumberger with over 6 years of experience. I'm glad to have you, ma'am. Next, we have Saloni Sabru, graduated from UPES in 2017, then a master's degree from University of Queensland, has worked in ISRO and is a process data engineer at Shell with an experience of more than 2 years. Welcome, ma'am. Then next in line, I have my guest, Sukriti Kathuria, graduated from UPS again in 2017 and has been associated with big names like Indian Meteorological Department, ISRO, Infosys, and is now the senior process data engineer at Shell with an experience of more than 3 years. Really glad to be conversing with you as well. And my last guest for the evening is Aishwarya Ranalkar, graduated in 2016 from Maharashtra Institute of Technology, Pune. She did her master's from Robert Gordon University. She's a well engineer at ExxonMobil, and we can't wait to, start off by hearing from you ladies out there. So before beginning herewith, I would request the audience, if you have any queries to be addressed, you can just ping in the chat box and we can even take them in the middle of the session or towards the end of the session. And with that, let me know, should I begin with the questions first or the guest would like to speak something or the other? Anybody can start.
Well, I think we all thank you for inviting us for this podcast, and it's a great opportunity, especially in terms of like women in this industry. We are very low, right, in numbers. So I think it's a great opportunity to speak up and share our information and talk about ourselves. It's a great opportunity. So I'm really honored to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Sukriti ma'am, would you like to say something?
Sure. Yes. Thank you so much for inviting us in. I think it will be an interesting discussion where I'm looking forward for one where we discuss every one of us experience and questions. And I really hope it is helpful for the audience who are there with us today. So thank you for inviting.
Okay. So I guess I should now begin with the questions. I cannot wait to start the conversation with you guys. Okay, so I'd like to begin with Rashi ma'am first. Okay, so when it comes to women employment sector in oil and gas industry, there are still companies, who are who are facing challenges to meet the gender diversity balance, be it the entry level of job, be it the mid career, or be it the senior management. So, what are the pragmatic recommendations from your end that you would like to, enlighten us upon, keeping in mind your valuable experience? We would like to hear your experience as well as any recommendations from your end.
Okay, thank you, Shivangi, for the question. Actually, this is one of the most important topics that we as a women industry should discuss more about, right?
Right.
This is no secret that any company who commits to diverse leadership, they are far more successful, right? But
Right.
unfortunately, we know that the women in oil and gas industry is just 15% of the entire oil and gas workforce, right? And we also know that this is not the new thing that we are talking about today, right? It has been there
Right.
for decades. So we know that currently in this stage, there are governments, there are private institutes which have created policies for women empowerment, which have created different practices as well, right? So
Right.
we know in the current stage, this is nowhere, like it's not something not been acknowledged. So we know that there is an issue and it needs to be focused and it needs to be cleared out properly. It has to be some policies and solutions to improve those, right? So this is our current situation now. We know that in terms of policies and practices that have been implemented, unfortunately the stats does not show our satisfactory result, right? It's not up to the par. So definitely there has to be some improvement, either create new policies or modify the policies. There has to be some change so that we can see some new result, right?
Right.
So as part of my recommendations, first of all, I would, focus on the organizations and businesses, right? So you can say now in any organization, we know there are policies. We know there are, women's societies, safe place for women to speak up, to stand for themselves, right? But we have to ensure that the businesses are providing equal opportunities to entire population of their employees, regardless of their gender and things like that, correct? And that has to be an essential part of their day-to-day working.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be just a tick mark for their KPI or their policy, right? Somebody has to see whether it has been implemented properly or not, right?
Right.
At this stage, I can give example of one or two or three, ladies in my company who have reached to a certain level, which are like remarkable. But that's not what I want to see. I want to see a group of a bunch of women growing together in the industry.
Right.
This is our goal. So now businesses have to go back and see why we don't have bunch of women going up on the ladder. Why we have only few examples, right? So this is something organizations and businesses, they have to look into it. They have to identify what is the problem and then they have to fix the issue, right?
Right.
The second thing we have to make sure is that as women, when we join any organization, right, we have to make ourselves aware of all the policies and all the women's societies within in that organization or in that government area wherever you are living in, right? So once you are aware of the policies, then only you can answer or then only you can judge those policies, right? Whether those policies are good enough for me or not, whether they are keeping my criteria, my scenario in it or not, right? If you are not even aware of the policy, you can't improve it. And these policies are made for us. We are the end user. So if we are not happy with the policies, we are the one who has to speak up. Okay. So this is something from women's side that you have to focus on the policy.
Focus on, right.
You have to be aware. The third point that I would want to add is that women sometimes they underestimate themselves, right?
Of course.
For example, I will not speak for everyone, but as in my experience, I have seen that, let's say there is a promotion available for me and I see that, I fit the eligibility criteria of that promotion. So when I say, hey, the eligibility criteria is that I need to be good at A, B, C, D subjects. Okay. Now, when I see this promotion, say, hey, I'm good at A, B, C, D, but let me be good at E as well. so that I can showcase
Right.
that I am very good, I have a lot of potential for this promotion.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I'm learning this new E, somebody else who's good at only ABC will get that promotion, right?
Right.
So this is something very important for us, that we speak up and we showcase our work, and we should
Exactly.
be proud of our potential that we can actually bring in the company, in the
Okay.
organization.
Hmm.
So these are like important points, of course.
So basically, if basically, if I have to say it in a compact form, be aware of your rights as well as duties when it comes to your industry, and you should have proper knowledge how you should exercise it. Very well said, ma'am. So, picking from this answer itself, women should know the policies. My next question, I would like to go to Saloni, ma'am. Being a process data engineer at Shell, as we discussed right now, women should be aware of their policies. Now, that also brings me to one stake that women should also be aware of the diverse skill set they should acquire, especially when they are new to the industry. They're just starting up as a fresher, if we can term it that way. So, what according to you, if you have to name it in four diverse, domains of expertise a fresher should have, not expertise, but one should be good at. So, what would be that according to you? Am I audible?
Am I audible now?
Yeah, you're audible now.
Sorry. So I was saying, first of all, hi.
Hi.
And I really vibed with Rashi saying about the things we should be aware of more than what we could be, going ahead for. So as far as diversity in skill set is concerned, I think I'm hoping a lot of girls have joined this call, and I'm telling to all those girls right here that there are certain things you should keep in mind, which would I don't think that those things, if you have in mind and you have those particular skill sets, anything can stop you.
Right.
The policies, of course, you have to keep in mind, and everything else, your rights and everything, but there are certain skill sets you definitely should know of. So I would put these skill sets in 3 points for ease of understanding. First is I think never stop learning. It's the attitude towards learning. I think my motto since forever has been learn and then share and then grow. So I think it's very important to follow these 3 steps in no particular order, but then of course they should be there. And I don't think there is any foundation to learning. So there are n number of things to go ahead and learn. Even if you want to diverse your portfolio, you want to give an opportunity to some other thing. You're not liking your current position and all these things. So never stop learning. So that would be one. And then I think the second would be really focusing on adding value rather than just being focused to what you've been given and what you required to do as a position. For example, I'm a process data engineer. I'm supposed to deliver insights and deliver products and convince my stakeholders and just meet their expectations. I think that's not all that we need to do. We need to make an impact, and that can be only done when you have the nerve to go out and pitch your idea in front of anyone possible. So don't ever fret to if you have an idea, you go ahead and pitch it, because if you don't, then you don't know if it has an impact on the asset or on the company's performance, right? So this is an important part. And then I would say the third thing, which is not the least, of course, it's time management. It's really important. At this stage, I think if students are there, they won't realize how important time management is at this point. But when you enter the industry, you have various things on your head, on your plate, and you have such a diverse multicultural and cross-functional teams and everything you have to do. You have so much on your head that it's very easy to lose track of time. And then if you lose track of time, it's like a domino. It doesn't stop. So it is very important to have that habit of being on time for everything and manage your priorities, which is very, very important.
Actually,
3 points I think should go by.
Being on time is actually very important for your mental health as well. Unless and until you manage time, you get productive, I don't think you'll be able to cope up professionally or as well as personally.
Personal life concerns.
When I talk of process data engineering at Shell, my next question goes to Suprati ma'am. How do the roles differ within the department, and what are some skills that one should acquire for the same? And any experience that you would like to share with us?
Sure. So the roles across the department are more or less around how we are supporting technically to the assets in order to strengthen and smoothen their operations, help them deliver the best. And yeah, I guess all the roles are so this is in a nutshell what they are about. How it diversifies with the like the skill set and skill pool and the work would be some people would be more driving insights out of the data. Some will help manage it. As you see, it's data engineer and then process data engineer, so you need to have your own technical knowledge pool which is there and which is leveraged, and with the data skills you're able to combine both of them and you're giving a product or some kind of support which is helping the asset in the end. So that is how the roles are functioned in this area.
Okay.
Then the next question with the 3 expertise, I guess, right? So
any experience that you would like to share with us? Any learning that you had within the journey?
Yes, I did. So if I would want to summarize the entire experience till now in my role or in my roles, it was always a learning curve. So what I would again champion and echoing with what Saloni said is having a learner's mindset. If you have that, so my learning is kind of exponential. That's what I think, and I still thrive for it because I want it. Because it helps you to diversify your portfolio. And more or less, it's like I was a geoinformatics engineer, but right now I'm working in safety. So I really like doing geoinformatics. It was remote sensing, and it was very interesting for me to see how imaging works, how sensors are working, and earthquakes. Everything was really nice back then. We did researches in IMD, in ISRO. Then moving forward to Shell, just moving in the same path on the research itself. Whatever was given to us, we were trying to experience and get the best out of it. So it's not always 100%, but then you tend to follow your path, and yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so following that path gives you an exponential growth and a diversified portfolio, which is very important. Very well said. So my next question, I would like to move to Aishwarya ma'am. I see you've done your master's from Robert Gordon University. So apart from the broad spectrum of knowledge that we learn, we get why we get through our bachelor's, what other crucial part does a master's degree play when we are serving in a company in the oil and gas sector, and how does it go? What do you want to say about that?
Yeah. So first, to say thank you for having me here. And when I went to masters, actually, so I went with an intention that I wanted to develop a new skill, basically. But yeah, so in the back end, I didn't really think, along with the technical skills, I would be in the process learning a lot of different things. So I think the 2 or 3 main things that worked for me was, first is like the enthusiasm. So while you're working, so I did my master's after working for 2 years. So when you go back to learning, or when you go back to, let's say, a university again, the enthusiasm of learning new things is on a different level. So I think I again went back to the student life and, learning and exploring all the different fields, not just the subjects that was specific to my course, but, talking to people and getting to know their experiences and trying to see if, yeah, I could fit in there and then I could try to develop that skill. So that's something that worked for me. And the second is diversification. So, like when I went to the UK, I was, of course, like you meet people from all different cultures and races and street, like from
Right.
everywhere around the world. So I think that has really helped me today in my workplace as well, because in a global, when you work in a company which is globally based, you're not just working with people from India or a specific country, so it's quite a global.
Right.
So it, kind of gives you that exposure of working with different cultures, and then you try and, really try and connect and understand their way of thinking or approach, because sometimes some, like your team members or your colleagues will have a better approach to a problem. So I think
Right.
that is one thing that has helped as well. Like I
Right.
so I worked in a few projects during my master's. So like some were group projects. So in the group projects, like I had people from all around the world. So like it was a group of three, or sometimes it was a group of four. So, you really uh, try and learn to understand what the other person is trying to do in the project, because sometimes
Right.
there is a lot of communication difference, I would say, like how one communicates their ideas. So it really helps you develop those skills. Like apart from your technical, yes, you do develop technical skills, but these are some things that I think help a lot.
Okay, okay, great. So basically, being globally oriented and exposure, I think not only when I talk of oil and gas, this is a mandate now for any industry. And communication difference can only be, can only you can cross that once you have a good exposure and you can communicate well. So on that note, I would take a question from Surya in the chat box. Ma'am, before graduation, we try a lot for getting job, but once we get the job, we start feeling comfortable due to various reasons. How can we eliminate this habit? So, anybody from the guests would like to answer this? He's basically asking how to get out of the comfort zone when you are in a job and financially independent.
I think I could take up that questions because I've been in a similar situation before moving for masters. So, like, I was working for 2 years and I was quite content, I would say. Like, I was enjoying the things that I was doing and stuff. But
Right,
so, basically, I'm a petroleum engineer, like, by background. So, I started working and then I was working towards the data side of the industry. So, like, I think, you know, what helped me was like, while working I was learning new things, like on the job I was learning different skills, but I really wanted to, learn something in that specific, like let's say data engineering. So I wanted to do a course specifically which would, first of all give me a degree, and second of all, like it will help me enhance better skills. And like I said, not just technically, it was something that I like traveling, I like exploring new places. So that was another inspiration that I had before going for masters. So I think what you really need to do is, first of all, you just need to decide like what course you would want to do or what place you would like to go. And I would really recommend, like, this is a very good experience, and like you can get it at any stage of life, but I think
right,
initially once you have worked and stuff and then you go, it kind of gives you that proper break as well. And like moving to university is always fun. Like I would always
right.
love to be a student if I get a choice. But like you have to get, like, decide what you want to do. And I know that in today's times that's a very difficult task to ask someone, like,
Right.
just know what you want to do. But yeah, I mean, unless you don't get out of the comfort zone, I don't think you can really achieve the things that you dream of. So you should try and
Right.
push yourself to get out of the comfort zone. So yeah.
Yeah. On that note, like we discussed of courses right now, as ma'am said. So, Sukriti ma'am, I would like to know from you that now online courses are going on. Like we can we are doing our studies, and like Advantage India is providing so many courses online. how important is it to, to do these courses, to gain knowledge, to include them in the resume? If you have to weight in percentage, how would you say, how crucial does it impact crucially it impacts your career, your learning, your working in the sector?
Absolutely. So, what I would want to say in this area is when you have these courses readily available right now because of globalization or everything is digital, you have this facility, you're sitting at home and you can have this, like your advantage India, you're saying there are other as well which are providing
Right.
such
Right.
services. And how it helps is it kind of builds you up and then it gives you certification as well that you're certified in
Right.
this thing.
Right.
So yes, you are gaining knowledge, and most of these courses generally come with some practical with it, so you know how it is in
Right.
hands on. So it gives you a small experience of it, and you have some good theoretical knowledge. So whenever a challenge is coming up to you, you know a little bit more about it. And even when you are getting hired, I guess one of the things is like, for example, if you see that if I am experienced in business intelligence tools, so I mean, it will be easier for me to get some kind of, analytical or insight jobs where I can create
Right.
reports and, do benchmarking. So
Right. Right.
yeah, those certification sense helps.
Okay. Okay. We have a question from Dhatri Singh. Ma'am, nowadays we hear that petroleum engineering downstream has no scope, and we hear negative news. So, is it true? Anybody who wants to answer, Aishwarya ma'am, Rashmi ma'am, anybody who wants to take up this question? Of course, there's a lot of news going down, but then market keeps on changing. Anybody who likes to answer this question?
I can try it out. I mean, if Rashi wants to, you can do it as well.
Okay, so what I would like to say here, of course, I mean, with a lot of bad news we had in last few years now, it's not just downstream; it's with upstream as well. We
Right.
have been hearing some really bad news, a lot of job cuts, a lot of opportunities going down. But let me just tell you, don't lose your hope, because this is like not the end. Of course, if
Right.
market goes down, it will come up as well. So please don't let your hope down. For sure, I mean, based on the stats as of now, that this is true that in downstream the number of jobs are getting reduced a lot because of digitalization and things like that. But let me tell you one thing: if you have a domain knowledge which is like an expert level or even in the intermediate level, you can still be part of this new era of digitalization, because without
Right.
people like us who are good at domain, uh, nobody can do just everything by digitalization. There has to be some governing body. There has to be someone who has to ensure that even we have this AI and automation working all for us. Is it first of all getting created based on our requirements or not? First is that, and second, are they behaving as we expect them to, right? So
Right.
without us domain people, don't lose hope. I mean, even digitalization or automation will not replace your jobs completely. So this is something which we have to hope on. It's like new way of working. Maybe improve your work skills. Maybe if you think that currently I'm not getting as a job as a petroleum engineer, maybe try something new in terms of data science, analytics, and things like that, which can open the gates for you, right? So this is something we have to live on with.
Right. So Dhatri, don't lose hope and just make sure you don't go on a break completely because of the market. Keep trying and keep expanding the diversity of skills that you have. So on that note, I like to shift towards the work culture of companies. Now, Shell is known to, to have a really great working culture. It's known to treat its employees in a very in a very decent, good manner. So, Saloni ma'am, I'd like to know from you if any one or two words you want to, tell about the working culture of Shell, how it treats its employees.
So I would for Shell say it's a company for equal opportunity, definitely. And I'm not just saying because my marketing team promotes that. I'm saying this because I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I don't think any of the leaders in Shell that I know of would differentiate between me or a second colleague who is a male to give me that opportunity which is right in front of us, and they go based on skill set and never on gender. So I think it's an equal opportunity company that I would say.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Then Utkarsh is asking you a question, Saloni ma'am. How did Saloni ma'am decide on doing a master's? Why University of Queensland? And how was your experience there? So we'd like to know that as well.
Of course, boy. That's yeah, okay. So I was studying geoinformatics from University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, and geoinformatics involves a lot of remote sensing and GIS studies, but it also involves a lot of applied geology and a lot of subjects relating to geology, of course. So around my second year, I started to gain a little fondness towards geology and that side of, especially because I had a very good professor back then, and I really got into the way he was able to talk about so many things regarding geology, and it was like at that very moment seeking my attention. I was like, this is what I want to do. So I started in my third year, I started searching for colleges which would offer geology, but they would also be a little flexible in other domains. So I got this geology course in UQ and University of Queensland, and particularly there was one specific reason I went to UQ, which is University of Queensland. It was because the course was having a rank of it was ranked second in that particular domain, and that really attracted me, of course. But the other reason was also I had some comfort from home. I had some relatives back in Brisbane, where the university is. So that was another driving factor for me. And regarding the experience, so the experience, I think, if given a chance, I think if there's no restraint like money, financial, or homely restraints or anything like that, I think one should definitely go and seek that exposure, because the way you get to communicate with so many people from so many diverse cultures is amazing. I could totally relate with Aishwarya when she was saying, she was mentioning those points, how she would have team projects with all the individuals, and she would know so much about them and different from what she had in mind, and that would actually open up a lot of activity in your brain, that okay, this can be done in this manner as well. So I think exposure wise, it definitely gives you a chance to expand your horizon. So I think
there are many universities as well who offer 100% scholarship in oil and gas sector. So if you really are lucky enough to get that, you can even go by that side. So I have a very beautiful question in the chat box. Now this person has not named himself. It's coming as guest. But the question is really beautiful. Thanks for organizing this. Amazing. Quick question. What, according to the ladies, can the men do from their standpoint in the industry to make the journey smooth for women? And what kind of mindset should be in the back of our heads as men? Sukriti ma'am, if you would like to answer that question.
This kind of puts me in the spot. Okay. So what I would think, one thing would be like, as a peer, and like one can be always supportive. I can really look forward for that word, and also recognize the equal input that a person is giving wherever they are. But apart from that, I guess everybody is doing it, like in my experience. So I have seen it around that it has always been smoother, and I think like wherever maybe other people might have faced it, but where I'm coming from, I have seen people kind of promoting and championing each other, not just women and men, like anybody else as well, like whoever is there. So people actually kind of help each other, support each other, and help to grow together. Yeah.
That's really good to hear. Aishwarya ma'am, anything you want to add to that?
So personally, I haven't had a case where I have faced like discrimination based on gender, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So
Yeah, right.
yeah. So, but I would like to, say something is that this is very generic. It's not just specific to professional life as well, but in personally as well. Like if you have a group of friends, like let's say there is a certain group of boys who are talking amongst themselves. So if you feel that someone is, trying to demean probably females or whatever, what I would expect from the other people in the group would be like, not tag along and entertain it, or rather, shut it down and or just tell the person that this is not right. Because you're like, okay, it's just a conversation, and just nod your head and just like it will be forgotten the next day. But you're basically, the person is not realizing that what he's speaking is actually wrong.
Right, right,
Rather than, just being a silent spectator, it's, they can just take a stand and say that, okay, this is not acceptable. So I think that's
right.
something that they can try and do.
Okay, so Rashi ma'am, if somebody is facing this issue, any woman is facing this sort of a discrimination, intimidation at any company, what do you feel? What should, like, at first ignorance should be a spot, or you should go ahead and
No, ignorance should never be a step, actually. So, as you know, see how, first of all, how men can support. Yeah, I mean, this is something very important. Usually we kind of like ignore these things, but I'll tell you, I mean, there are some unconsciously some taboos that
boost,
sometimes
right?
other gender creates by just assuming things,
Right.
and many times, women have a lot of tolerance in them. We kind of ignore most of the things. But I would say that how men can help is basically don't assume things, ask for it. Like, there are few people who will say, hey, you have a family, you have a kid, how will you move to this new opportunity that we are looking for someone? You are good for it, but then you have to move along with your family and things like that, right? So don't assume things. Yeah, it's better
Right.
to ask. So this is something very important, that other gender, could be anybody or could be, same gender also. So this is something for everybody, that don't assume, always ask if you have a doubt. So this is one thing. Second, if any women see that there is some issue going on, if there is some discrimination going on, of course every organization have their own processes. Like in Schlumberger, we have our own processes. If you face, you have to talk to a certain people. There are some helplines, and there are some women's societies where you can
Right.
ask people for help and things like that, right? But never ignore. Always take
Right.
take a step. Even if you have 1% doubt, ask your peers. Maybe your friend in the same company, could be a man or woman, but ask for help. If you face, ask
Right.
somebody, I feel this way. What is the process to make it better? Do we have a policy for it? Do we have something to decrease this kind of discrimination? And there are a lot of discrimination that women just unconsciously ignore. I'll tell you,
Ignore.
like, I just give you an example that let's go to one of the meetings, okay? And we have number of people, women, men, everyone. Some men will come in the meeting and say, hey, gentlemen, how are you? So unconsciously they are kind of
Right.
discriminating, and we as a women also sometimes, just ignore it. So this is something where people need to understand that we are all equal and we should be treated equal. We are like not somebody who's coming from a different altogether planet or anything. So this is
Right.
something important.
Yeah. Saloni ma'am, you would like to add something to this question itself?
Of course. So there is a thing which we do at Shell, that is intervene. So be it us, women or men, we make sure if something happens which is not correct, we make sure to intervene and tell them,
Right.
hey, there you're wrong. So this shouldn't be the way to go ahead, and that's what we take the first priority to. Yeah.
Right, right. Intervention is really important, and ignorance shouldn't be on your plate at all.
Not an option.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so I have a question for Aishwarya ma'am in the chat box. How is culture of diversity inclusion at Exxon? Utkarsh wants to know this. So, ma'am, if you could please answer.
I think Exxon is pretty diverse, I would say. Like in terms of, I wouldn't say like they have a very good ratio of the gender balance, but I think they are working towards it. Like you would see like a lot of female employees on some really good positions and stuff like that. And like if that's what he's asking based on gender, then I think yes, they are working towards it. But apart from that, of cultural diversity, I think it is very diverse. Like in my team, I have people not only from different parts of India, but I they are people from different parts of the world. So I think that way it is very diverse, and everybody is very warm and welcoming. Like if like if you just start working or if you've been there for a long time, it's just the same. Like even your first day, they're so welcoming and warm, and everybody is greeting you well. So it's like, there is no differentiation that, okay, she's from here, she's from there. Everybody is very warm. So I think
Right.
cultural diversity is excellent, I would say. So, yeah, if that answers the question, I mean.
Yeah, I guess so. And also, like what the previous question that we were discussing, this reminds me. I've done mining from UPES, so there used to be this teacher. I would not like to name. Of course, he used to come to the class and say, "Good morning, boys."
Yeah.
Used to be the only girl sitting in the class, and I used to, for like for the till the mid semester exam approached, I used to face this everything every day. Yeah, I used to have a class, but then one day I gathered the strength to, literally, talk to him in front of everybody and say, "Sir, I'm also there. You can address me also." So
Very good. Yeah.
it's sometimes people are not demeaning you, they are just so used to having boys, and maybe it's a natural incorporation, and you can get to that and you can improve. But yes, when it comes to companies and when it comes to bigger problems, tolerance and taking the time to gather the strength, it shouldn't be an option. Just intervene on the spot, as Saloni ma'am said. So, apart from that, any questions that the audience has? Well, I am enjoying the session, but any questions that the audience wants to ask? There's another question from Surya. I missed it actually from Aishwarya ma'am itself. What are the key steps for breaking out of our comfort zone? So, I guess she already answered it via learning, but anything else that ma'am you want to add to this?
I would say that there's no like a set of program that you need to follow to get out of your comfort zone. I mean, it is very personal, I would say. Like if something works for me, it's not necessary that it should work for someone else as well. So
Right,
like
right.
it's a very personal thing that you need to figure out that what works best
Mm-hmm.
for you, and like you just need to weigh your choices, probably, like if you're okay to sacrifice this to achieve something. So that's very personal, I would say. Like I wouldn't say that there's a
Right.
key step that or a guide you need to follow to get out of your comfort zone.
Right. So, towards the end of the session, I would like to ask questions in relation to two. First, the women or even the men who are taking up petroleum, getting into oil and gas industry, and then the ones who are graduating and are getting into the industry. Ones who are getting into the bachelor's degree, and ones getting into the industry. So, now pertaining to the scenario of now, what is really important for them to have at the back of their mind to be ready for any happening in the industry, because the market can go up and down. There are various other issues. So, Sukriti ma'am, if you would like to answer that.
Uh, sure. So if I understand the question right, people who are entering in new in learning, and the second bunch are the people who are graduating right now. What
Right.
they should do to meet the changing needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would again say the same point about diversifying the portfolio and learning. So
Right.
it doesn't need, and also one more thing, it's like whenever you get an opportunity, let's say any company, we really
Mm-hmm.
have to be stringent and make our own boundaries that we make, that we are focusing only on this company because this is good according to us. You may never know what may surprise you. So if you are getting into some another company and you get a new role and it excites you, like you kind of start loving what you were, you hit there. So that is for the people who are graduating. So it's try to keep a portfolio where you're covering all the needs, see where the industry is going, try to have a strategic mindset over it, like how is the industry shaping, what are the current goals which a government or the industry is planning, how it is going forward. So that's for them. People who are entering into the universities, I would still suggest you that you should go for an interest right now. Like, see what is something that you like to learn and try to focus on that. Because once you brush your skills and strengthen yourself in those areas, I think you'll be able to achieve whatever you want. Like, you can conquer the world if you want. Just work on it.
Right. So when like as you said, when we switch from one company to another, I guess networking is a very crucial factor that plays bonding with people, networking. So Rashi ma'am, what do you want to comment upon the essence, the importance of networking, especially nowadays?
Yes, I mean, very well said. Networking is very, very important. Like even if you reach a stage when you see, okay, my life is now settled. I don't need to now be in a hush and hurry now. To do this and do that. Even then, you have to keep building your network because first of all, to identify the correct opportunities, right? This is one of the major cause why we need to have networking. Second is important, like for example, you want to do something on your own afterwards, and you want to build up your clientele, you want to have something more indigenous in terms of learning and things like that. So for that particular purpose also, networking is important. Now how you build it, it's different areas where you can work on, either in your own organization itself is of course one of the ways you can build networking by doing a lot of webinars, a lot of be in certain activities which can improve your visibility, things like that. Be part of SPE or any other local petroleum organizations. So be part of those groups and do certain activities so that you be the visible person in terms of your domain or your leadership roles and things like that, correct? So never shy away to showcase what you have done or what you have reached so far. So in those particular aspects, networking can be done in your own organization and outside your organization. And of course, we have a lot of networking sites for professional, so use those, and this is very important, and this should be started as soon as you enter industry. It's not something you think that okay, after 2-3 years I would start building my network. No, it should be something on your day one. In fact, I mean, before that would be good, but of course when you start.
Right. When you mentioned networking sites, so especially during the pandemic, I've noticed LinkedIn is on a completely different boom right now. People are, sharing out their experiences. So, Aishwarya, if you want to say something on how important it is to be upgraded, to keep your profile upgraded on LinkedIn and to be very active there, because I feel LinkedIn has a lot to offer, especially to professionals of any industry, not only oil and gas, any industry. LinkedIn has a lot to offer. So, Aishwarya ma'am, anything that you would like to comment on that?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is the new social media, like everyone can follow. Like, I personally wasn't very active on LinkedIn a few years ago, if you would see, but like in recent times, like you said, in the pandemic, like even if you open LinkedIn after 2 days, you would see so many posts, like where people are doing all different things, and not just professionally. They're putting up posts about what they're doing in personal life, like how creative they are or not, like apart from work, what is their hobbies and how they're developing it and what they're working towards. So yeah, I think in today's times it is very important that you socialize on LinkedIn, not just like, not with an intention that you just want to ask someone for a job, but it's sometimes even if you ping someone and just like talk about their experiences, there's a big learning curve in there itself, like just for I would say. Like if you talk to someone who's probably not from oil and gas, but let's say in a different industry, in IT probably, who's doing data science, you talk to them, you might really like what they're doing, and you can think of ways how you can implement those in your industry as well. So I think so the focus should not be just that, okay, I want to ask for jobs or I want to ask for internships, but in general, like just to learn and grow your skills and stuff. That's a good way of communicating, I feel.
Right, right. With that note, I have a question again in the chat box. Looking at the present conditions and the volatility in petroleum industry, how can a fresh graduate get into data analytics or data science? So, anybody who from the guests would like to answer?
I could add on to that a little bit since I have that background now and I'm into it. So what I have observed is like a lot of students, they come and say, I want to do data analytics or data science. Now, data analytics and data science is a very big bubble, I would say. So,
Right.
you should really start from the ground level, because you could just not say, I want to do data analytics today. Like, you should just try and explore like what bits of data analytics you like, because it goes from extraction to processing, cleaning, all of that, data engineering, and then analytics is the end stage, and then where you show visualizations. So it's not
Right.
just like I want to be a data analytics engineer in oil and gas. So you really need to first sit, like there are a lot of forums or portals online where you can really find out what processes are there and how you could get into it. Like start from the basics, don't try to achieve a lot in a very less time. Like you need to really spend time in thinking like what is the first step I can take. So in my case, I would say for me what worked was like learning basics of coding. I would say like pick up any language that you like. So just see if you're start doing it by yourself before you go and enroll into some course, because if you're going to enroll into a core data science course, in these courses they normally expect people to have a background in IT. So if you directly go in there, it's going to be very difficult for you to grasp and stuff. So try and do a little bit of homework, like self learning and stuff. So it will help you get into the field as well. And yeah, I mean, data is the next big thing in the industry. So if you can develop any skill in that field, it should be helpful for anybody, or probably not just upstream or downstream, in any like business side of the oil and gas as well. It is going to help you. So I would just say that first start from the basics. Like so there are so many platforms like Coursera or anything. Like just go pick up a basic course, like a beginner course, and just go through it once and just see what bit of it you enjoy. Because I've heard from a lot of people, they want to do data analytics. So it's not just one thing. There are a lot of things that goes in the background. So
Right, right. I guess I'm having some issues with the video. Am I audible to you guys?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, Saloni ma'am, would you like to add something on this big bubble of data analytics and data science, the knowledge spectrum and everything?
Of course. So my question to Anshul is, I think Anshul is the one who posted, what is stopping you? You asked, how can you pursue data analytics? You have the pandemic as a driving factor, and I think as Aishwarya said, you have so many portals online and so much information online. Just start with the basics, I guess. Starting, and if you're actually passionate enough for getting into data analytics, I think there's nothing to stop you. Just start with the basics basically, and if you actually start seeing interest and you start feeling this is the thing, you don't know, you'd be a data scientist.
Also, I would add here, I mean, good to have all these learnings. With that, you need to know what you want to do with this, right? I mean, okay, how to code, you will learn how to do analysis and things like that, but what do you want to do with the analysis, right? Let's say you want to optimize a well for a certain KPI. So take that as a target. Okay, take that as a target, that you want to, let's say, optimize a workflow of a certain production drilling or whatever domain you want to do. Then when you learn that particular code or any learning as the language and things like that, then build based on that requirement and showcase to your manager, or in fact you can put it as kind of your business opportunity as well, because nowadays this is what it's going on. Big companies, I'll tell you, like here in Middle East, they are looking for people like you who can build up quickly these kind of workflows on any analytics software, and they'll buy it. So always think about what you want to achieve with this. So this is very important. Certification degree, as you mentioned, it's good to have for sure. I mean, when you want to showcase your workflow, then they will see what is your credibility. So for that particular sense, you need to show the certificate and your degrees and things like that. But when you show your solution to clients, if they like it based on what you are actually trying to prove, and then that would be a very good opportunity for you.
Right. So on that note, I'd now like to give the concluding sentence, and anything from any of the guests that you would want to address to the audience, to the female part of the audience as well as to the male part of the audience, relating to oil and gas sector, or anything that comes to your mind, anything that anybody wants to say.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward, most of you would have a lot of experience in life, a lot of ups and downs. And if I would say, if you feel lost, or things get overwhelming in your direction, just do one thing: just zoom out and see the bigger picture. See how far you've come till here, and if you zoom out, you'll see that the trend is definitely upwards. I think for every one of us here, they will see when they zoom out that they have an upward trend. And once you see that trend, you can make a long-term direction. Like, you can see how you can take that upward trend even more up. So I think taking small steps, when you zoom in and when you feel exhausted, just zoom out and see where you've reached, and just plan your future trend from that.
Okay, that was really really a great sentence to to follow, to move on. Thank you, Saloni ma'am.
Yeah, but I would like to add to what Saloni said. Like, I really agree to what she's saying. Like, this is from what personally I have experienced. Like, so as a petrol, like studying an oil and gas field, it was always so. Since third year, it was my dream that I wanted to get into exam. So that was something I had thought of. But of course, like now, if I look back, it's a long way. I mean, it's been a long time since I have graduated.
Right.
I've done so many different things. Like, there was a time where I didn't know if I should go for the masters, if I should move towards data or stick to the core.
Right.
So you really need to not lose hope, because after I graduated in 2016, all of us know the industry was in a very bad state. So
Right.
but luckily I found a job somewhere. Again, when I graduated after my masters, the pandemic happened, so again it was a bad state. But you can't lose hope in these situations. You just need to,
Right.
if you feel that it's getting too much, just shut everything, do what you like, do things that you like, enjoy for a bit, and then come back again with a fresh mind. So it is very
Right.
important to have patience and not lose hope. I know it's very easy to say now that we are on this side,
Exactly.
but you, like, trust me, it gets better every time. There's no, it doesn't go down, it just goes up, I would say. So
Right.
you have patience.
Right. Any thing to be said by Rashi ma'am and Supriti ma'am?
Yes, actually. So I had one point which I wanted to share with you all, was that once you are networking and you are getting to know more people, I'm not sure if everybody is doing that, but having a mentor in your life and having them consistently would help you to reach areas. So if you
Right.
have a mentor and if you have them for a good period of time, they also know your personality, they know what your interests are, and they know, because they're a little more experienced mostly, so they would give you a better insight of the industry, how the trends are, and maybe it can help you further your career. And another point which I have seen, and in the previous discussions which we all were having, was that even when a person is going into data science or data analytics, and the person is having domain knowledge of something completely different, you can always leverage the two things together to be wherever you want to be.
Right.
And because that will bring on your interest as well. And then
Right.
it wouldn't feel like you're doing a job, it will make it more interesting. So that's
Okay.
it.
Very well said, ma'am. Anything, ma'am? Rashi ma'am, I'm waiting for your concluding statement as well.
Actually, we have a question. Do you want to take that, or shall we just conclude?
Okay. Wait. From Parag Burani, Yeah, okay. What efforts could be made on an university level to include both genders for field trainings as well as in decision-making processes? Ma'am, if you would like to go forward with it.
So I think if I understand the question, it's on a university level, right? I mean, somebody who's looking after students, right? So this is something actually very crucial, because I remember when I was studying, this is one of, first of all, obviously, from my learning perspective, this is very important when I've been to field trainings or do my internships and things like that. So this is very important in terms of understanding your domain, in terms of understanding the practicality of what you have actually studied in your college. So what kind of efforts that can be made in terms of field training is that, of course, you should contact alumni like us, or you can contact directly HRs. There are teams who take care of these kind of things, and you can approach to them. You can talk about the internships, you can talk about the trainings and things like that, and there are multiple ways to contact, and you will get response for sure about this, and this is very crucial. And just send like the list of the things which you would like to see in a certain area, and they will definitely respond based on the availability of, obviously, people working in the company, based on them, as well as taking care of what they need to learn. So what's important is that I know that in one class there are around 120 people, right? And you cannot take care of like looking after each and every person of under, hey, do you want to learn like specific in production or in reading or things like that. But this is something which you should approach students like what you are interested in, because at that time we were so confused, like even though we were doing petroleum engineer, there were some areas which I really loved, reservoir and things like that, right? But still I was confused, like which path is my major way to go into industry, right? So this is the point where internships come into picture, where they should talk to alumni, they should talk people who are experienced in this, and who can decide which path you want to take is you only, like students. Exactly. So they need to tell, see, I am interested, let's say, in drilling, or I'm interested in production, I'm interested in reservoir. But then looking into that picture, you should make sure you just understand the basics. When you go for a new internship or anything, just learn basic, and you will learn everything once you do the job. So the important thing is, from a college perspective, they should talk to alumni, they should talk to HR department in the organization. They can like send emails that we would like to have these people for internships. Then what they do in our organization, they see how many people are available who can take the interns, right? This is also important, because now in industry we have lack of people. So everybody has like multiple responsibilities, so they have to check whether people can take interns or not. And once internship is available, then people should go in, like whatever internships they get in whatever sector, they should go. At least they will learn whether it is good for them or not, whether they loving the work that we are doing or not. So this is something very important.
So thank you. I guess we answered almost all the questions. Not almost, I guess we answered all the questions.
Oh yeah.
All the questions. And this was I would say by far this was the most interesting session. Maybe I am a female and I come from mining, which is closely related to oil and gas. Not so closely, but yeah, the field operations. So I related to you guys. And I hope the audience as well got so much to learn from everybody of you. So thank you, Aishwarya ma'am, Saloni ma'am, Sukriti ma'am. Thank you so much, Rashi ma'am. This was an incredible session, not just for me, for the audience as well. And I look forward to other sessions as well. So on that note, I like to conclude the session. And thank you once again. EDvantage India would be hosting another panels the next week, and we look forward for your participation.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thank you. Stay safe, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.